Ever since Spidey's entry into the MCU, fans have been begging for him to be a broke, lonely guy focusing on street-level crime. Brand New Day finally delivers that, but there's much more happening. The movie is laying serious groundwork for Spider-Man and the broader MCU's future. And we see glimpses of that in the new Spider-Man Brand New Day trailer, so let's break it down. Opening shot. We open with Peter, looking all sad, sitting upside down on the underside of a steel construction beam, watching an Instagram reel of Ned and MJ arriving at MIT. They looking happy and settled into a life that just doesn't have room for Peter anymore. So he snaps his mask down, dives, and then takes a deep, long breath. This alone tells you how messed up he is with everything. The suit. But just watch the fabric as he dives. It has ripples because this is the same suit we see him stitching at the end of No Way Home, not one of those sleek Stark Industries suits. The raised webbing on the red fabric is a nod to Tobey Maguire's classic design, and the looser fit and the blue shade is clearly pulling from Andrew Garfield's The Letter. Then we get to the same donut shop where MJ used to work. Peter's holding a letter, and if you zoom in, you can read it. He tells her his name is Peter Parker, that she used to know him, that making the world forget him was the only way to stop something terrible, that he's Spider-Man. Then, maybe I'll never read this to you. Maybe I'm just writing this for me. But the truth is, I love you. That's 4 years of unresolved grief. In the same sequence, Ned walks right past him, completely oblivious. There's a "no credit given" sign over Peter's shoulder, very clearly referencing the events of No Way Home. The washing machine. We then get a glimpse of Peter in a shared laundry room, leg bruised, suit spinning, in the washer. This might be a reference to the last time we saw Scorpion in the MCU. He threatened to put Spider-Man's head in a dryer. Then the trailer cuts to Spider-Man being handed the keys to the city. Key to the city. While MJ and Ned watch from their apartment, and both of them look genuinely sad about it because they remember Spider-Man. They remember fighting beside him and caring about him, but can't put a face to the masked vigilante. The woman handing over the key is Sheila Rivera, political advisor to Mayor Wilson Fisk, which puts this film after the events of Daredevil, Born Again, Season 2. Frank Castle. Then things start happening and we get to the first action sequence of the trailer. A tank is unloading on Manhattan. Peter is chasing it and gets hit by a battle van. And wouldn't you know, it's John Bernthal's Punisher behind the wheel.
Frank, you just hit me with a van!
Quit your whimpering.
Peter webs the gun, but Frank fires anyway. Peter slingshots back through the windshield and drags him onto the street.
Mother.
Go home!
Frank tries to curse, but Peter webs his mouth shut, the most PG-13 solution to the Punisher ever. These two clearly have history, and later on in the trailer, Frank also says, "You're losing it, kid," which, coming from him, holds a lot of weight. The housewarming. 4 years later, MJ and Ned are back in New York throwing a housewarming party. In the background, you'll spot a massive conspiracy wall covered in photos, clippings, and red string. MJ is still wearing the broken black dahlia necklace Peter gave her in Venice. No conscious memory of it, but it's still there. Another man, played by Eman Esfandi, flirts with her. Strong theories say he's either Harry Osborn or Paul Rabin. Also note the bright green beer keg labeled Green Jackal. That's not a real brand. The trailer's final exchange plays out here too. MJ compliments the flowers. Peter says it's a housewarming gift. She introduces herself. He says he's just the neighbor across the hall. She quips something about a friendly neighbor, and Peter nearly chokes. That's a direct callback to Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man from Homecoming. The rooftop. There's also a brief rooftop scene, Peter in his mask, MJ with a searching and grieving expression. She knows Spider-Man but doesn't know Peter Parker. The mask is the only way he still gets to exist in her world at all. The cocoon. Peter collapses in his apartment. When he wakes, he's outside, sealed in a web cocoon. He breaks free, instinctively tries to shoot a web, but we don't see any web come out of his wrist in that specific shot. Other scenes show him shooting webs without mechanical shooters. His apartment is also coated in webbing he apparently produced unconsciously. A single drop of water hits a bucket, and he reacts like it's a gunshot, so his senses are going haywire. Here's the theory. When the three Peters connected through the arachno frequency in No Way Home, the cosmic web linking Spider-Man variants, Peter's body registered that organic webbing was possible because Tobey's Peter had it. Years later, dormant genes are activating. The question is whether that's happening naturally or whether someone is helping it along. Bruce Banner. We then see Spider-Man inside a scanning machine that labels him as enhanced, not mutant, after which it cuts to Empire State University, where Peter approaches Bruce Banner, and Banner delivers the most important line in the trailer.
If DNA is mutating, it would be enormously dangerous.
He uses the word mutate, which is actually a big deal because Marvel was legally blocked from using that word in this context for years. For Bruce Banner, the MCU's go-to scientist, to say it out loud about Peter in a Spider-Man film is basically a signal for everything that's coming. Aunt May and the narrator. Peter then visits May's grave and a voice narrates over saying that spiders have 3 life cycles. When between cycles, it leaves the spider vulnerable to threats, and for those who make it through, it amounts to a kind of rebirth. The closed captions list the speaker simply as narrator, but voice sounds like Keith David. Some fans are already connecting it to Miles Warren from the comics, a professor with a very specific interest in Spider-Man's biology, Jean Grey and William Stryker. Next, we meet what seems to be Sadie Sink's character, a girl held in a cell since childhood with roller skates visible. Her power appears to be consciousness projection. When Peter opens the tank destroying Manhattan, he finds an old woman inside, then watches a consciousness transfer happen in real time. This Omega-level telepathy and remote body possession points straight to Jean Grey. Then there's Bill, Trell Tillman's character, sitting across from Spider-Man and describing the threat as something we can't even see. Many believe he's actually William Stryker, the MCU's key anti-mutant figure running the facility where Jean has been imprisoned. Scorpion? Mac Gargan is back in a full mechanized scorpion suit with a working tail, and he's hitting Peter across a city block. Somebody broke him out of Rikers, funded him, and then geared him up. There are a few candidates for who that may be, including Tombstone, who is confirmed in this film, Valentina, with repurposed DODC tech from the Stark and Toombs confiscations, and then there's Oscorp. If you look closely at the background of the Scorpion shot, there's a neon green lit building overhang behind him. It doesn't say Oscorp, but it is very specifically that shade of green, and fans have obviously been speculating. Comic pages and the hand. We then get 3 stylized slow-motion shots. The first is a direct restaging of the cover of Amazing Fantasy number 15, Spider-Man's very first comic appearance. The second is a boomerang fight. The third is a tarantula encounter on a river, mirroring the cover of Amazing Spider-Man number 134. Whether these are a real Act 1 montage or something else entirely, Marvel clearly wanted fans who know the books to notice them. Then we get the big action sequence, an abandoned prison. Peter unmasked, shooting organic webbing that shatters a sword against an army of hand ninjas. The wide shot of Peter launching at those ninjas has negative space beneath him, the same framing trick Marvel used to hide Andrew Garfield in the No Way Home trailer. Daredevil is imprisoned at the end of Born Again Season 2. This is a prison. Do the math. And in another shot, Peter's eyes roll back and go completely black. If you zoom in, there is a red face looking back from inside those dark eyes. Could it be that his mutation is turning him into the man-spider? The Jackal Theory. Now let's pull the threads together. A green beer keg labeled Green Jackal, a narrator describing Peter's mutation, Empire State University, and 3 hired villains Scorpion, Boomerang, and Tarantula, all fighting Spider-Man across this film. In the comics, Miles Warren is a biology professor at ESU who becomes the Jackal, a geneticist completely obsessed with Spider-Man's DNA. He doesn't fight Peter directly, he just recruits people and observes until he can collect enough data to replicate it. Insider reports, including the Cosmic Circus, suggest Warren is already operating as the Jackal in this film, not as the main villain but as a manipulator in the shadows. The film may end with Peter's transformation stabilizing, and Warren walking away with exactly what he came for, which would make this not just a Jackal story but potentially the first chapter of the Clone Saga. Final prediction. Now here's the full picture. Brand New Day is the MCU's gateway to the mutant era. Jean Grey's escape, possibly powered by the Phoenix Force, may trigger dormant X genes across the world. Bruce Banner says the word mutate. The government is cataloging enhanced humans. An Omega-level psychic has been imprisoned since childhood. And in a university lab, a professor is scheming. Brand New Day means starting over for Peter, for the MCU, and for a franchise that may have just laid the groundwork for the Clone Saga, the mutant era, and the next decade of storytelling all in one trailer. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel and ring that notification bell to be notified of any latest uploads. See you in the next one.